Hi guys, this is Vineet. In this video, we will discuss about how you can display data and log space information within SQL Server. Let's go to notes. We will cover a demo on how you can display data and log space information for a database in SQL Server by using the SQL Server Management Studio and Transact-SQL. So let's go to the environment. So we are inside SQL Server. So in SQL Server, you need to connect to your instance of the database, and after that, you need to expand the databases section on the left-hand side under the Object Explorer. So our databases section is already expanded. Right now, the SampleDB database is selected. So if you want to display the data and log space information for this database, we need to just right-click on it and point to reports section, and under reports there are standard reports. After standard reports, you need to select the disk usage. So it will generate a report for you. Let's wait for the report to generate. So this displays to us the data and log space information for a database. So we see that total space reserved is 15 MB and data files are using 10 MB out of that 50 MB, and the transaction log space reserved is 5 MB. So total is 15 MB that is reserved. And there are some charts showing the allocation of disk space for data files and the transaction log files, showing the use space as well. So for data files, we see that 14.84% of disk space is used by index 1. The 60.94% disk space is unallocated, and 12.58% of space is unused, and 11.64 is consumed by data. Though this is showing us the allocation of the disk space, how it is distributed. And also the same with transaction log, we see that the use space in transaction log is 14% and rest of the unused space in transaction log is 86%. And there's a section below which we can expand. So we see here there's a file group primary. Under that there is a primary data file sample db.dat, and it is showing the physical file location. It is showing that space reserved is 10 MB for this file, out of which we are currently using 4 MB. So this is how you can check the disk space utilization by the data and log files inside SQL Server. We can also use Transact-SQL to fetch the same data. So you need to open up a query and execute the following statement. So there's a stored procedure for this. So that stored procedure is sp underscore space used. This is the stored procedure which you can execute to get the space details for that particular database. So we see the sample database name is, or the database name is SampleDB. Size of the database is 15 MB. Unallocated space is 6.9 MB. So the rest of the space is being used. And below it is also showing that reserved space is 4000 KB. Data is utilizing 1216 KB of space. Index is using 1528 KB, and unused space is 1256 KB. So this stored procedure gives you the broad overview of how much space is unused and how much is used by the data files. Let's see if there are any other methods you can use to get the details. And there's a method to display data space used by object and allocation unit for a database. So this query will be big, so let's write this query. So there are certain system catalog views which you can query to get the information. So those system catalog views are sys.allocation units. Let mark it as A, and we can join it with another catalog view which is sys.partitions. Let's mark it as P, and we can join it further with we need to specify which column we need to join on. So The allocation units container ID can be joined with the partitions table hopped ID, and further we can join this by we can join one more system catalog view, which is systables. Let's mark it as T, and we are joining it on the partitions table object ID column. We are joining it with sister tables object ID column. So now the tables are joined. We can get data as it is, but we don't need all the rows here. Otherwise, we can read individual columns to get some information out of here. So instead of start, let's select certain columns. So I want a particular columns out of here. So from systable, we need the object ID. We're taking this as first column. Then we are using object name function, and we are passing in the t.object ID to get the name of that particular object. We are taking it as object name. Then we are doing some maths here, and we are taking sum of. Now we are taking this allocation units table, so this one. So we are taking sum of a dot total pages. We are multiplying this value with 8 because each page is 8 KB in size. So that's why we are multiplying it with 8. We are marking this column as total reserved KB. And we are also taking another sum of the same table, which is allocation units. We are taking used pages. So first we are taking the total pages here, and now we are taking the used pages information. We are also multiplying it with 8 to get the size in KB, and we are marking it as used space KB. So what we are doing here is we are doing a grouping. So below this statement, the last statement, we need to use the group by clause. So we are marking it as group by. We need to take the column names which we are taking above. So the first column we are taking as t.object ID here. So we need to take the same column. Another column we are taking is this. And third column, so let's take one more column here. Some more columns we are taking here. Let's take a dot type description to give the type description, and we are taking max value of partition table rows as rows count. Now let's take this in the aggregation statement, and so the grouping is done here. We are now using the order by clause. We want to sort it by use space KB in descending order, and then we want to order by object name. Now let's execute this statement and save this query first. How to display, or maybe we can say display data and log space information. Okay, let's execute this query. So here we have one object ID, which is basically showing us a table within that sample DB database. So let's refresh it. It will show us the tables inside it. So we have a student table. It is showing that particular object has an object ID of this. We got the object name using the object name function. We see that the total reserved KB is 72 KB. Use space is 16 KB. Type description is in row data. So this table contains the data. It has the row count of 3. 3 rows are there within this table. So this way you can get the space information via particular object. We want to see if what particular table is taking how much amount of disk space. We can use this query. So this query is useful. You may take a note of it, take a screenshot, type it on your own. So you can do it here. Take a screenshot and write it in your environment to get information like this. So this is a grouped information. Another thing we can do is to get the data and log space information is there's another query which you can use. So there's a query select star from, there's another system catalog view which is sys.database files. So let's see what columns are coming in here. So it is showing us there are two files. One is the log data file, another one is the data file which is containing rows, showing us the name of the files along with the physical file names, showing us the status whether they are online or not, showing their size. One is consuming, the primary data file is consuming 1280 KB and the log file is consuming 640 KB. Max size is also determined, growth size is also determined over here. So apart from that, I think rest of the information is not useful. So we can collect subset of columns from here. All the columns are not useful, but we are not doing that. So guys, we are done with this video. I hope you like this video. Please like, comment and share, and please subscribe to my channel and hit on the bell notification icons. Select all notifications regarding all my future videos to get notifications regarding all my future videos. Thank you once again for your time on this video, and you have a wonderful day ahead.